I'm Ryan Raker. I'm the president and founder of AccuTune Offroad and Ride Shocks. It really got started just growing up, being into off-road and camping and watching monster trucks on TV and short course racing. You know, that was the go-to Saturday morning. And I just really started developing a passion for it. My dad was, a big dirt biker when he was growing up, and it's kind of where I got the automotive passion from. So when it came time to get my first car, I actually ended up with a 68 Camaro, and a lot of my friends had, 4x4s, and we were going up in the mountains and stuff like that. And I think I was way more into it than they were, because I ended up off-roading my Camaro more than they did in their Jeeps and Tahoes and stuff like that. And so eventually the Camaro got in an accident and got wrecked, and I replaced it with a 71 Land Cruiser FJ40. I ended up getting into Cal Poly San Luis Obispo for college for mechanical engineering. And Cal Poly had a couple of great programs that really contributed to my growth as an engineer and encouraged my enthusiasm for off-road. And the first was the Polygoats 4-Wheel Drive Club, and just a lot of knowledgeable, passionate people there, like-minded enthusiasts going out and doing a lot of off-roading. And then the other was the Mini Baja SAE program. We built basically a mini UTV before UTVs existed, and got exposure there to engineers, both that were older than me and more experienced, still in college, and also exposure to some who had graduated and were working professionally and were giving us like professional grade parts to use on our car. Our car had like 14 inches of wheel travel and was just absolutely insane off-road. And we would jump that thing like 8 feet in the air. It was, I don't know how we're all still alive from that. And it just was that background and exposure that just really engaged me in off-road, what was possible, and really developed my passion for off-roading and for suspension. After college, I decided to pursue my passion and got a job at Edelbrock. A lot of people don't remember that they actually had a shock division, and it was actually state-of-the-art. We had really impressive shock dynos, test equipment. The inertia active system that they were selling at the time was patented and really innovative. And then they were also private labeling shocks with linear and digressive valving. So it was really exposure to all this really great test equipment. I had some good mentorship there, and then also exposure to all the different types of valving that you can have. And so I really got to hone in on what worked and didn't work and why and how. And so it was a great foundation for learning, shock absorbers and suspension. So at the same time I was working at Edelbrock, I started building vehicles on the weekends for me and friends. And eventually I left Edelbrock and went to a company developing motorcycle suspension. And I was a chief engineer there and basically got free reign of the engineering department. And so I took all the stuff that I had learned at Edelbrock and was able really to answer any remaining questions I have with testing on the dyno, ride testing different seal designs, piston designs. I mean, you name it. It was like 5 years of just intensive product testing. And when I came on, they were basically reselling twin tubes from other companies. And I developed their entire production line of dampers that we built and assembled in-house, and all of the technology behind that. Patented some technology there as well. And so it was this great opportunity to really just chase my dreams of what can shocks be and do and how good can we make them. And it was a fantastic opportunity. While I was at Progressive, I was continuing to build vehicles on the weekend, and I got involved with a friend, and we built a Jeep where it was kind of one of the real early pre-runner style Jeeps. Cut the front and back off, built a whole TIG welded cage, put a V8 in it, and then built it to have a lot of up travel. The rear was trailing arm, the front was on the axle, but we had 9 inches of up travel in the front, 11 in the rear. And so it was at the time pretty state of the art. And the process of building that and learning about all the shock mounting and the setup of all of it was really eye-opening. And while I was doing motorcycle stuff and I was familiar with off-road suspension stuff, it wasn't at this caliber. And so we called the shock manufacturer and asked them for advice on setup and initial shock tunes and things like that. And they came back with some advice that didn't quite make sense to me. And so I had asked my friend who would call them to call them back and talk to them again and just kind of pick their brain on it and see what comes out of it. And they provided other advice that was completely different than the original advice and also seemed too far the other way. And so I figured, there's probably something to this. And so I started seeing a lot of other people with the same problem that weren't really sure how to tune their universal fit shocks and where to start. So universal fit was really the beginning of AccuTune. We were trying to solve the problem of, okay, I've got this custom built vehicle, I've got all these different shock mounting configurations. What springs and valving do I need to get started for what I'm trying to do with it? And we had a customer who had built, 3 or 4 vehicles with us, and he bought a new Tacoma and was asking if we could do the shocks on his Tacoma. And my initial reply was, they already come tuned, you don't need us. And he kind of kept pushing me and finally said, all right, I'll do it. And I ordered a set and I opened them up. I'm like, okay, well, I can see why you want us to do it because this isn't what I would put in there. And that was kind of the start of AccuTune getting into doing OEM fit vehicles. And from there, we just went out and did every platform we get our hands on. With AccuTune, we started really just tuning a lot of different OEM vehicles and really refining our methodology for tuning and what we see getting results and improving ride quality, and testing different piston designs, different valving configurations. I mean, you name it, we've tested it. And it got to the point where we realized that the next step for us was to start changing internal parts to make them work more how we wanted them to work. And that's where Ride Shocks came from, was really taking our methodology and designing a shock that worked around our method of tuning to give us the best possible ride quality. With Ride Shocks, we didn't want to just come out with the next product. We really wanted to come out with something that was substantially better than what was available now. And that started with just developing parts and testing them. And it was a long process of developing a part, testing it, taking it off road, seeing what we like and don't like about what we changed, and doing it again. And it took 4 years. We developed 3 different adjuster designs. We've patented 2 of them. We probably tested 20 different pistons. I think we prototyped 10 of them. I can't tell you how many times I went to Mexico or the local desert and did some test miles to figure out what's working. I mean, there was a lot that went into refining and perfecting Ride Shocks. We didn't want to just come out with the best riding shock. We also wanted to be really durable and make sure it's going to hold up. We are off-road enthusiasts. I do an annual trip down to Cabo and back off-road, and we wanted to make sure the shocks are going to handle whatever we can throw at them. And so we did just an absolute ton of durability testing. I think there were like 4,000 miles in Mexico, so we basically did the Baja 1000 4 times. There was another 4,000 miles in the local desert. And so we really just put these things through the paces of making sure that they're going to hold up for the long term. With AccuTune Offroad, one of the other things that frequently came up was the shocks not fitting certain vehicles, whether you've made a bunch of modifications, you've got a particularly light model from the factory, or working with aftermarket parts. We wanted to make sure that the shocks were designed to fit your vehicle, no matter how you've modified it. And so that led us to come out with multiple SKUs for every application so that we have an option that fits right. And so you look at things like the rear Tacoma shocks, our lengths are a little bit different than everybody else's, and it's because they're made to work with aftermarket leaf springs. The aftermarket leaf springs are different than the stock ones. You need a different length shock to work with that. And there's a lot of little stuff like that we've done and gone through of making sure that we have a product that fits your vehicle for what you're doing so that it works right. Because if you don't have the right travel, the tuning doesn't matter. And so it's just one of those things we've really gone through every fine detail of Ride Shocks, of making sure that the tuning's just right, making sure that the internal design's right for the optimal ride quality. We've gone through all these little parts and tested over and over and over again to make sure every detail's right. And then we made sure that the durability is right. We've done tons of testing in different environments. And then finally, we made sure that the way that we constructed them with the lengths are all perfect, and the spring rates that are available are all perfect to go with how people are building their vehicles. Ride Shocks would not have been possible without the entire team from AccuTune. Everybody came together. We were getting feedback from sales and marketing on what the customers wanted, what problems that they're running into that we're having trouble solving. And that all got fed into the development of Ride Shocks to make sure that we're developing the best possible product, that we're solving the customer's problems. And then the engineering team absolutely knocked it out of the park with the design work. And it got stressful. I mean, you're 4 years into this thing, and you've got, five parts that are giving you a problem, and picking out which ones are the problems, and just, over and over and over again to meet our expectations was really challenging. And I can't thank the engineering team enough for sticking it through and developing, such a high quality product, because it's not easy. And then the operations team has just done a fantastic job of making sure that we've got these things on the shelf, being able to build them, making sure, being patient that we're meeting our quality standards, that we're not just slapping some shocks together and putting them in a box, that there's care and precision in the assembly process to make sure that we're delivering really high quality product. And so it's really taken the entire team at AccuTune Offroad to make Ride Shocks a reality. Part of Ride Shocks, we want to deliver the complete experience from the moment that you contact us or go to our website, all the way through, the first time you take them off-road, or, years after you purchase them, that they're gonna perform the way you want, they're gonna hold up the way you want, they're gonna fit the way you want, and making sure that our customers are happy with our product from start to finish. The process of creating Ride Shocks and developing the products has just been amazing. I mean, we've achieved amazing results, which makes all the effort worth it. And I'm just unbelievably excited for what's in our future.